Okay, looking forward to a great week of practice, obviously, on the road against the Titans. So it's a great opportunity for us against a well-coached team, against a very good physical football team. We're 5 games, our 5th division game already in the season, so these are all important. This one obviously incredibly important. So really, what do you do about it? You just take it day by day. You have a great day of practice today, great meetings, get prepared, and keep building towards the weekend. As far as status of anybody, just kind of like last week, I'm going to refrain from any status. I like to kind of get through this first day, see where everybody's at. We'll have the injury report out later, so really don't want to get into the status of players.
Frank, when you look at Tennessee's got 4 straight on you guys, what do they do so well? What do they do? It almost feels like they do what you guys are trying to do. They win up front a lot. Do you see that on tape, and how do you guys combat that?
Yeah, exactly. They're physical up front on both sides of the ball. But probably the thing that Tennessee does as well as anybody is they don't beat themselves. They're really good at situational football. They don't beat themselves. Turnover ratio is normally pretty good, and they are a very disciplined team. So a very good football team. Defending a #1 seed last year in the AFC, obviously division champs. So all roads go through Nashville.
Frank, do you expect to keep the same starting 5, or I guess the 5 that closed the game, I should say, from Sunday? And how key is that to now find a 5 and build with a 5?
Yeah, I mean, finding the chemistry and the vibe is good, and obviously I thought all 6 of those guys played well. Dennis played well. We'll see how it goes here in the beginning of the week, but we would anticipate kind of staying like we were. But really, really glad to have Dennis and what he's doing, and also Bernard. We think he's going to continue to develop.
Frank, when you say anticipate staying as you were as a starter, as they finished?
Yeah, probably as we were. Probably as we were. We'll evaluate that as we go, and we'll evaluate that as we go. Happy to have them both. Dennis did very well.
Frank, last year, I think it's fair to say, excuse me, that you kind of evolved, your play selection kind of evolved into more of a run-heavier team. This year, your passing numbers, passing percentage is up, I think, pretty substantially. Can you evolve the other way too? And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but do you look at that much, and what does it tell you, and just what do you make of all that?
Yeah, 100%. We look at, we always look at that, always evaluating, adapting, adjusting, as is needed. And as we've always said, it's really game to game. We are still seeking to be a balanced football team. We want to be a balanced football team. We think that's, what does that mean? It doesn't mean 50-50, right? What does it mean? Does it mean the perfect balance every week? No, it doesn't mean perfect. It means over the course of a season, you typically don't want to be at the extreme end of one of those. We don't want to be in the top 5 passing attempt teams. We don't want to be in the top 5 attempt, so we want to be good in both. We believe we have the personnel to be good in both. So we're still trying to find our way a little bit in the run game, and we got to try to do, in the meantime, we have to do what we can to try to win games.
Over the last few weeks, Isaiah's played more than Brandon at cornerback. Have you given any thought to just playing Isaiah outright over him? I know Gus mentioned that he wants more, that you all like having that rotation and depth.
Yeah, I believe in both of those guys a lot. I really do. I know there's been chatter about, Brandon's let me just tell you something. This guy's a competitor. He's a winner. He's a winning corner in this league. I'm really glad he's on our team. Same thing with Isaiah. So they both played a fair amount last week. We'll evaluate that as we go. You always got to do what's best for the team, but I can just tell you this, myself, Chris Ballard, the defensive staff, we have a lot of confidence that both of those guys will play winning football for us.
Frank, when you guys
yesterday, Jim Irsay said something that I think a lot of owners believe but didn't have the courage to say. What did that tell you about ultimately the man you work for?
Yeah, really proud to work for Mr. Irsay, for the Colts. He's a leader, man. The guy's a leader, and just proud to work for him. Proud for what he stands for, his family. It's been his whole life, right? He's been a leader. He's going to be the leader in social justice issues. He's about doing the right thing. That's why our mission is about to entertain, aspire, unite by winning the right way. And the man wants to win the right way. I'm proud to work for him. And so, yeah.
Like whenever Shaq does get back, considering all the time he's missed over the past year, will he need more than a week, you think, to get back into game shape, or what do you think about that?
We a lot of discussion on that over the last 48 hours. How much time is he going to need? Can he get ready in a week? Is it going to take 2 weeks? That's going to happen. I mean, I'm not really trying to hide it. We're going to need to see that. And again, like we've said, that's a collective. We are going to need to see that. Shaq and coaches and all of us making that, trainers, doctors, but excited. I really do think, even though he's been out for a week, I think that physically, from what from talking to the trainers, that even though he had the concussion and the nose and the broken nose and that bad fracture, in other ways he was still doing things to make everything else better. And I think he's continuing to incrementally get better and better with his injury. So we'll see how it plays out in the coming week and weeks.
When you guys drafted Alec, Chris said we love his vertical ability. And you said, well, wait a minute, he can do the whole route tree. In camp and early in the season, when did you guys start to scheme up ways to involve him way more than just on the sideline, and how has that developed?
I really do feel like from the time he got here, we sat down early and said, hey, is this going to be one of these guys that we're going to slowly develop over the year? And we made a conscious decision as a coaching staff, as an offensive coaching staff. Nope, this is not going to be a slow development process.
Why?
We felt it, with what you saw on tape from college. When you talk to him, super competitive, tough, smart, and it was evident that he had all the skill set. He had the speed, and he was a good route runner. So we decided very early in the process this was not going to be a slow development process. We're going to accelerate this and just throw him in.
Where's Reggie's impact? Where's Reggie's impact been?
That might be one of the keys to the whole thing, because maybe the hardest adjustment isn't physically, it's just the mentality that you need. And Reggie has that mentality, and I think that just oozes out of Reggie into all the guys, but I think it's particularly helped Alec.
Considering the way he's played, could you see Paris and Pitt right now are playing close to 100%? Could you see Alec getting to that point at some point where he's playing almost every snap?
It'll be interesting. I think 80 plays was a lot of plays last week for Pitt and Paris. So, I don't want to. It's a long season. I don't want to kill. We don't want to kill those guys. So, we've even talked about trying to find ways to spell for, Pittman and Paris just a little bit here and there, because we have confidence in our other guys as well. Now, obviously, Pitt's our guy, and Paris is playing great. But over the course of a year, it's good to switch things up. So we'll look to maybe get some more guys involved as well.
Frank, when you guys made the decision to move Sam up to 2, did you feel the need to talk to Nick about what went in there?
Oh, yeah. No, I talked to all 3 of the quarterbacks, and, it was hard. I mean, because there wasn't like I said the other day, and I'm glad you asked me this, chap, because it wasn't like, hey, Nick, hey, Sam beat you out. It was more a schematic thing. Don't get me wrong, we love Sam, and he's earned the right to be in this role. But Nick Foles has just looked lights out in practice. He physically, his arms, strength, and this offense he's doing a good job in this offense. It's built for him in a lot of ways. So super excited. It was a hard conversation to have, but Nick is such a pro. He's such a pro, and I think he was a little bit shocked at first, but I think he understood it, why we were doing what we were doing, that it was what was best for the team, but in no way did it diminish how we feel about him and what he brings to our team.
Right, with Alec showing that potential on those inside routes and crossers and the toughness you talked about, this obviously his primary skill maybe is on the outside. How much more dangerous can that make him on those vertical routes? Because he does have that ability, a proven ability.
Yeah, I think without question, we've always said, if you can be a receiver who makes an impact outside the numbers, that's a really big deal. That's a special trait. You need guys who can make an impact outside the numbers. So if you're going to be one of those guys, like you're referring to, Stephen, if you're going to be a guy that can make an impact out there, where sometimes a tall, skinny, fast guy can do that, but they don't necessarily do much damage over the middle, you can kind of narrow the field on that guy. But what Alec is showing is that he can do all of it. And we like to do that in our offense. We like to move guys around very intentionally to switch it up for all those reasons.
Just
All right,
go,
maybe last one.
just go back to last week for a second. You practiced Jonathan Taylor twice and then decided to hold him out. Did he get close? And what's sort of the, I guess, the dynamic with a guy like that who he always wants to be out there practicing and figuring out when to let him go in games?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, you're right, Nate. I mean, I felt like, in my mind, I was probably wishful thinking by me, but in my mind, I thought he was going to be ready. I did. And I know how tough he is, and I know he was doing everything he could get out there. But, after talking to the doctors and trainers, later in the week, I was like, thought he was going to be ready. It's just not quite there. We were all trying to push it. I think he was trying to push it, and we just didn't quite get there.